The Trixster here. How do? Batsley, what do we have for today?
A face-off in the Badlands of California's District 43 with Maxine Waters.
If we can't protect the children, we can't protect anybody. If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
Ah, yes, Maxine Waters, Congresswoman from California's 43rd District. I remember from a couple weeks ago, she was basically engaged in typical liberal activity, typical progressive activity, threatening people, threatening to harass them, engaging in some of the lowest form of politics and diatribe possible. And she's not just some average person. She is a congresswoman. And I do want to give credit where credit's due, even if it's on the Democrat side, and I do appreciate Chuck Schumer making the statement that her comments were un-American, because they were fundamentally un-American.
Even Democrats are denouncing her rhetoric, as they should. Listen to what Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is saying.
If you disagree with someone or something, stand up, make your voice heard, explain why you think they're wrong and why you're right. Make the argument, protest peacefully. If you disagree with a politician, organize your fellow citizens to action and vote them out of office. But no one should call for the harassment of political opponents. That's not right. That's not American.
However, they're not that uncommon when it's coming from the progressive side of things, the Democrat side. Basically, it starts with name-calling, character assassination, attempting to destroy people's lives. Then it comes to intimidation, and from intimidation it's a very slippery slope to violence. And Maxine Waters started out, her ante was intimidation. Follow people around, run them out of restaurants, run them out of places they go. Why? Because you have political differences with them? That's fundamentally un-American. It's also very irresponsible, and it's not becoming of a member of our House of Representatives. She is an utter embarrassment to our government. Let me make that straight and clear right up front. Now, I want to get into discussing some other things about Maxine Waters. I've done a little research on her 43rd district. And as you noticed in her clip I just played, it's about the children, right? Didn't she not say something like that? It's about the children. Her statement was, if we can't protect the children, we can't protect anybody. That was her statement, was it not? Well, let's take a good long look at Maxine Waters' district with regard to child poverty, shall we? Now, according to Maxine Waters' Wikipedia page, she was first elected in 1990 and has been serving ever since. Now, by my math, that's 28 years. So, the problems that exist in her district, I would assume she should have been taking care of them over that time, unless, of course, she was busy with something else. So, according to the Public Policy Institute of California, from 2013 to 2015, 31.5% of the children in Maxine Waters' district lived at or below the poverty line. It's all about the children, right? And according to the National Center for Children in Poverty, around 21.5% of children in the United States live at or below the poverty line. That's way too high, but it's far, far lower than what we find in Maxine Waters' district. In fact, by my math, in her district, 50% more children live in poverty than they do on the national average. Now, my question is, when she states, if we can't protect the children, we can't protect anyone, what has she been doing for the last 28 years if a third of the kids in her district live at or below the poverty line? What is she doing out rummaging around and making all kinds of ruckus about families being separated at the border while they're actually committing illegal acts, correct? They're crossing the border illegally. People in her district get arrested. They don't get to hang out with their kids. They go to jail. The only reason that it's a little higher during the Trump administration is because he has a zero-tolerance policy on illegal border crossing. Both Obama and Bush separated children at the borders, but less, admittedly, because they did not have a zero-tolerance policy. But should we not have a zero-tolerance policy on our crimes? And yet I digress back to Maxine Waters. What is the deal here? If we can't protect the children, we can't protect anyone. What has she been doing for 28 years? If I'm a citizen living in the 43rd District of California, I have to ask myself, why is she spending more time worrying about illegals crossing the border who aren't even American citizens than American citizens who are not only American citizens, but her own constituency? What is she doing? It makes absolutely no sense. I can tell you one thing she has been doing: encouraging her constituents and people that are on the political left to intimidate policymakers, lawmakers, and their fellow citizens, which not only is disgusting, but it's completely un-American. And she is an embarrassment to the highest offices in this land. She should not be allowed to hold these offices. Unfortunately, in an electoral system, that's the way it is. You vote her in, she's in. But I can tell you, her behavior does not warrant re-election. But let's see what else she's been up to, shall we? In the 28 years that she hasn't been able to get the poverty level for children in her district down to the national average. According to Lucian Wintrich of the Gateway Pundit, Maxine Waters has also been paying her daughter about $100,000 out of her campaign funds. The article states Representative Maxine Waters is slated to pay her daughter about $108,000 for running a lucrative campaign operation that pulls in hundreds of thousands of dollars each election cycle, FEC filings show. Karen Waters, the daughter of Representative Waters, collected nearly $650,000 to date for running the operation for her mother's campaign. Well, the good news is Karen is probably living above the poverty line that 20% of Maxine Waters' citizens are living below. So that's the good news for Karen on this deal. Let's see what else Maxine's got going on. So on Congresswoman Waters' Wikipedia page, there's an entire section dedicated to allegations of corruption. According to Chuck Neubauer and Ted Rorlick, writing in the Los Angeles Times in 2004, Maxine Waters' relatives had made more than $1 million during the preceding 8 years by doing business with companies, candidates, and causes that Waters had helped. They claim she and her husband helped the company get government bond business, and her daughter Karen Waters and son Edward Waters have profited from her connections. Waters replied that they do their business and I do mine. Well, that's nice. Liberal watchdog group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington named Waters to its list of corrupt members of Congress in its 2005, 2006, 2009, and 2011 reports. Citizens Against Waste named her the June 2009 Porker of the Month due to her intention to obtain an earmark for the Maxine Waters Employment Preparation Center. Waters came under investigation for ethics violations and was accused by a House panel of at least one ethics violation related to her efforts to help one United Bank receive federal aid. Waters' husband is a stockholder and former director of One United Bank, and the bank's executives were major contributors to her campaigns. In September 2008, Waters arranged meetings between U.S. Treasury Department officials and One United Bank so that the bank could plead for federal cash. It had been heavily invested in Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, and its capital was all but wiped out after the U.S. government took them over. The bank received $12 million in Trouble Asset Relief Program money, TARP. You may remember it. The matter was investigated by the House Ethics Committee, which charged her with violations of the House's ethics rules in 2010. On September 21, 2012, the House Ethics Committee completed a report clearing Waters of all ethics charges after nearly 3 years of investigations. So, let's be fair, she was cleared of those charges. But, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, where there's smoke, there's fire. People, I believe, in Washington get cleared of quite a few charges that if they were levied against the average citizen would stick like glue. So I'm not sure in this case if they were legit or not, but she was cleared. But it's pretty evident that several organizations and groups feel she's a relatively corrupt member of Congress. Now, I would say the following. I really could care less if she's corrupt or not. But for her to stand out there and grandstand about if we can't take care of the kids, we can't take care of anyone, while according to a study and to research, a third of the children living in her own district are living at or below the poverty line, which is much higher than the U.S. average. It sounds to me like she's a lot more interested in defending the rights and interests of illegal aliens rather than her own citizens' children in her own district. Now, I would have a suggestion for the people that inhabit District 43 of California, and that would be to vote for Omar Navarro. Get somebody different in there. Somebody that in 28 years can maybe improve the living conditions. Because Maxine Waters certainly hasn't done that. Trixster out.
If we can't protect the children, we can't protect anybody.
Batsley, keep the lights on.
You got it, Trixster. Hey, if you like what you're hearing and you want to hear more, kick us a couple bucks on our Patreon site. The link's in the description below. Or you can buy some slick Trixster gear at the link in the description below. You can get a t-shirt or a sweet hoodie, or you can even take your morning cup of joe in one of our coffee mugs. Help us out and keep capitalism in America alive. Later.
And as always, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Trixster out.